The city of Babylon was near the banks of the Euphrates River, a region that today is part of Iraq. As many caravans of different peoples passed through the region, the city received many religious, social, and cultural influences, and soon it grew in size and power. The city had water channels that flowed through it. This water supplied different needs of the population. Possibly, it was the world's largest city at its peak, besides having the famous Hanging Gardens, which were considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. With the accumulation of wealth, the Babylonians began to build statues, temples, and monuments deeply detailed. The structure of the Babylonian government was commanded by nobles of different dynasties and their religious leaders. The Bab, the translation of which would be the door of the gods. With King Hammurabi's ascension to the throne of Babylon, the city became even more important. Hammurabi was the 6th king of the Amorite dynasty, and, under his reign, Babylon was strengthened, dominating territories that previously belonged to the Sumerian and Akkadian empires. Hammurabi conquered the major cities of Mesopotamia, including the cities of Ashur and Nineveh, thus creating the first Babylonian empire, called the Paleo-Babylonian Empire. He also created the famous Hammurabi Code, which was a set of laws and how to apply the equivalent punishment to the crimes committed. That code followed the principle of the law of Talion, the famous eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. In the military area, the Babylonians perfected the Akkadian equipment, with armor and helmets better adapted and adjusted to the soldiers' bodies. Hammurabi's empire lasted a short time, collapsing soon after his death in 1750 BC. As was to be expected, after his death, there were revolts from the other cities under Babylonian rule. This was a turbulent period in Mesopotamia, and Babylon was even plundered by the Hittites and then ruled by the Elamites. The city of Ashur, under the rule of the Babylonians, belonged to the Assyrians, a group of people of Semitic origin. With a warlike, Assyrians probably assembled the first organized army in history. With standardized armor and already using iron in weapons and helmets, they were fearsome enemies. Their soldiers and paid and served for periods established in contracts. They perfected the use of the war chariots. They were top-notch archers, besides having a deeply disciplined infantry. They were also known for developing siege weapons. Their major strength was the cavalry. Often, 2 riders rode the same horse. Usually the one who was riding behind carried a bow or darts to hit enemies at a distance. The Neo-Assyrian Empire. Until then, it was the greatest empire in territorial extension ever created, surpassing even the empire of Sargon the Great. The capital of the Assyrian Empire was the city of Nineveh, which made major improvements to its walls to improve security against possible enemy attacks. The last great Assyrian king was Ashurbanipal, Asarhaddon's successor. It was Assurbanipal who organized Nineveh's famous library, which even had 22,000 clay platelets with cuneiform writing. Thanks to it, today we know so much about the Mesopotamians. King Assyrian Ashurbanipal did not have a peaceful reign. 27 BC, at about 58 years of age. His sons tried to keep the empire under control, but it soon went into decline, again due to the uprisings from many city-states. An Edomite soon took over the reins of the Babylonian government. He knew how to take advantage of the power vacuum and prompted attacks against the cities of Nippur and Uruk, thus fortifying his position as king, with lands under his command. Nabopolassar was a strong king with an expansionist profile. He established alliances with the Medes and the Persians. He married his son, Prince Nebuchadnezzar, to the daughter of the king of the Medes, Princess Amytis. In 612 BC, Nabopolassar and his allies besieged the city of Nineveh, which still belonged to the Assyrians. The city was devastated, establishing the Second Babylonian Empire, called the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Its capital was again the city of Babylon. Nabopolassar died in 605 BC at 53, probably the victim of some disease. The name Nebuchadnezzar in Babylonian was written Nabu-Kadur-Uzzar, which meant Nebo protects the crown. He was indeed a powerful king, and like his father, he wanted to conquer new lands and expand his domains. Babylon, already worn out by many years of invasions and plunder, was completely rebuilt under its reign, gaining a great wall around it. It was Nebuchadnezzar who had the Hanging Gardens of Babylon built, improving the water channel systems and building great temples and ziggurats, mostly dedicated to the god Marduk. Ziggurats were massive pyramid-shaped temples originally created by the Sumerians and later adopted by the Babylonians and Assyrians. The The most famous of these ziggurats was Entemenanki, who became well known as the Tower of Babel. Its construction was initiated by Nabopolassar, which may have reached an impressive 91 meters in height. The Great Ziggurat was the city exuded wealth and power. Its fame and grandeur were exalted by authors of antiquity, among them the Greeks Herodotus and Ctesias. But Nebuchadnezzar would not be satisfied with just sitting on his throne and ruling peacefully. In a short time, he searched for new lands to conquer, near to an end. But its influence would still endure for many centuries in the peoples of Mesopotamia.